for breath on a battlefield of shattered earth. He's a man pushed beyond his limits, questioning his very fight at an age when others dream of retirement. But from the cave's oppressive shadows, a guttural growl rips through the silence. Rest is a luxury he cannot afford, as monstrous silhouettes with glowing red eyes claw their way from the darkness. He stumbles to his feet, a massive black dragon and a horned behemoth looming before him. "Can't even catch my breath," he mutters, defiance in his voice. The very ground shatters beneath the weight of an unseen enemy, a colossal impact that sends stone and earth erupting skyward. The beasts roar in unison, a hellish chorus promising nothing but a gruesome end. Jaws wide enough to swallow him whole descend. The warrior braces for the inevitable, a scream of pure rage locked in his throat. But the scene shatters, replaced by a haunting memory, a city in ruins. A Cthulhu-like monster clutches a bloodied woman, while a young boy watches, paralyzed by horror. The woman, his teacher, cries out his name, Sang-yun, pleading for him not to be scared, even as her face streams with her own blood. She tries to be brave, but her final, desperate command rips through the air. Run! Her life is brutally extinguished in the next breath. All around them, pure chaos reigns. Grotesque creatures snatch people from the streets, their pleas for help devoured by the cacophony of the apocalypse. A monstrous hand reaches for the crying boy. He lets out a primal shriek, his world tearing apart around him. This was the day monsters fell from a blood-red sky and ripped everything from his grasp, leaving only an indelible scar of trauma and despair. A tentacled creature closes in, its grip tightening around the boy's head, his small body frozen in absolute terror. Then, a blur of impossible speed slashes through the air, a flash of righteous fury arriving in the nick of time. A knight in magnificent dark armor materializes before him, a silent protector against the encroaching shadows of death. The boy looks up, eyes wide with a potent mix of fear and awe, utterly unable to comprehend this miracle. The imposing knight towers over him, a singular beacon of hope in a world consumed by encroaching darkness. A gentle voice slices through the din of destruction, simply asking, "You okay?" For the terrified child, tears streaming down his face, it was nothing short of a miracle. The memory fades, dragging us back to the older warrior, who swings his sword with desperate raw strength. He cleaves through one beast, the impact sending devastating shockwaves through the very ground. His face is a mask of grim determination. He had always yearned to be like his savior, a hero in shining armor. But reality is a cruel, unforgiving master. He's swarmed by vicious goblins, their claws and teeth ripping at his flesh. He fights back, driving his blade through the skull of a hulking orc, a guttural dying cry echoing through the cavern. But the relentless onslaught leaves him battered and bloodied, his eyes wide with the grim, crushing realization of his fate. He collapses amidst the corpses of his fallen comrades, cradling a lifeless ally. His anguished scream swallowed by the vast, gore-soaked battlefield, a chilling testament to his complete and utter failure. Surrounded by mountains of slain monsters, he's barely on his feet, panting heavily. "This is killing me," he gasps. He clutches his sword, every fiber of his body screaming in protest. He knows this situation is far too perilous to face alone. A sudden, strange sensation washes over him, a moment of baffling confusion that rips his focus away. Just then, a shadow descends, a presence so immense it devours all light. A dragon of impossible size dominates the sky, its rocky hide crackling with raw destructive power, ready to end him. The lone warrior stands his ground, a tiny defiant figure against an apocalyptic threat. The beast unleashes a torrent of raw energy from its maw, a blinding blast that incinerates everything in its path. At that moment, the warrior sighs, an overwhelming wave of exhaustion crashing over him. "I'm really screwed," he thinks, utterly resigned. His tattered armor and moss-covered body scream the story of a man who has fought for far, far too long. He stands at the edge of a precipice, the colossal, slain beast a silent monument behind him. He lets out a primal, frustrated roar. "Why am I working so hard when I'm almost 60? He screams to the uncaring heavens. This is Shin Sung-hyun, 55 years old and utterly worn out. He reflects on his life, 30 grueling years since he first grasped a sword. He knows he's just a speck in the cosmic dust, one of countless players in a world that has long forgotten his name. As he surveys the gore-strewn battlefield, something glimmers amongst the rocks, a potential reward for his impossible hard-won victory. It's a skill book glowing with a pulsating blue aura. He muses, I've eaten artifacts before, so maybe this too? As his hand closes around it, a brilliant light explodes, enveloping him entirely. A sensation of immense power surges through his weary soul. Suddenly, a figure descends from a swirling vortex of cosmic energy, a hooded man with blonde hair and glasses, exuding an otherworldly, almost divine aura. The mysterious being floats before Shin Sang-hyun, who can only stare, utterly transfixed at this dramatic entrance. The figure, his contracted constellation known as the late bloomer model student, blesses him for his relentless hard work, complimenting his final impeccable strike. Sang-hyun offers a weak thank you, genuinely grateful that anyone would bother contracting with a mere third-rate swordsman like him. The constellation then shrinks into a tiny, floating chibi form, and a system window flashes into existence, revealing Sang-hyun's current level, 650. He laments that due to the insane, almost impossible conditions of his contract, he has yet to benefit from his constellation. He needs to reach level 850 first. The chibi constellation simply urges him to eat the skill book. Sang-hyun lets out a tired laugh. That was my plan all along. With a grim smile, he prepares to consume the book, channeling its potent energy into a pulsating orb of raw light. He remembers his desperate, often ridiculous experiments to understand his unique skill, even trying to boil and devour artifacts, all to no effect. He'd even tried frying them, hoping to feel something, anything at all, but the result was always a soul-crushing void. By the time he'd exhausted his useless experiments, he finally unearthed the truth. That by meticulously using mana synchronization with an artifact of a suitable rank, he could finally absorb its power. But the crushing realization came far too late. While others surged in power right after awakening, he was left utterly in the dust. He opens the skill book, but it's utterly blank, devoid of any instruction. Rage boils within him. There's no way this is a real skill book, he roars as his tiny constellation flits about nervously. The system relays a message from the late bloomer model student, apologizing for being utterly unable to help due to severely limited information. It then suggests, since Sang-hyun has a lot of time, he should just compromise and start mana synchronization again. Sang-hyun's frustration boils over into a volcanic eruption. A lot of time, he roars. Who said I have any time left? I'm almost 60, he screams, his face contorted in raw anguish. If he'd had a child at 30, that child would be 30 now, he explains. He reminds his constellation that he might even have grandchildren by now, trying desperately to convey the harsh reality of human mortality. The chibi looks on, utterly contrite as the system conveys its most sincere apology for such a grave misstep. Sang-hyun eventually calms, explaining his life is a tapestry of regrets. He could never forget the imposing back of the person who saved him all those years ago. He tried his absolute best to become like that hero, but now, he's utterly exhausted. He's just too damn old. His constellation listens quietly, a subtle hint of a smile playing on its lips as Sang-hyun whispers his deepest wish, to be just a little younger. The constellation's glasses gleam with an arcane, mysterious light as it makes a fateful decision. Suddenly, a brilliant purple energy erupts, a raw, powerful force beginning to envelop the old warrior. He looks down at his hands, confused, then utterly alarmed as his body begins to dissolve into the strange, viscous energy. He cries out, "Constellation?" His last memory as a 55-year-old, the sight of his patron, wielding the very essence of his life experience, threats to unleash a miracle, a return from regrets. The scene abruptly cuts to a modern-day TV program, where reporter Park Jong-min explains the concept of players. His guest, Han Hyun-jung, CEO of Hyunjong Corporation, elaborates that dungeons are like crucial stepping stones for these newly awakened individuals. She explains that gates are shimmering portals to other dimensions, unknown regions ripe for players to explore and conquer. A young man with black hair watches the program from his small apartment, listening intently. His assumption screams truth. He has truly regressed. He sits on his bed, a confident smirk playing on his lips as he meticulously polishes a dagger. Confusion still lingers, but he knows 4 days have passed. Precisely, he's gone back in time by 30 years. After losing consciousness, he awoke not on a brutal battlefield, but in his cramped studio apartment from 3 decades past. He wasn't in his ravaged 55-year-old body, but in the vibrant prime of his 25-year-old youth, every single memory perfectly intact. He knows without a shadow of a doubt the only explanation is the divine miracle performed by his constellation. Shaking off the last vestiges of confusion, he smirks with hungry anticipation. "Well, whatever," he mutters, spinning his sword. "Should I go out and work?" A system window flashes open, displaying the stats for Venomoth's dagger, a bronze tier artifact that promises to boost agility. He grips the blade, recognizing it as the exact dagger he was lucky enough to acquire during this bygone time. But unlike his past self, this time he knows its hidden skill. A brilliant aura of vibrant purple energy erupts from his hands. The system begins calculating the absorption rate, 10% for a bronze artifact, plus another 10% applied retroactively for his previous use, a total of 20% pulses on screen. He smiles with cold, calculating confidence. Even though the absorption rate is low, it's a powerful start. A massive surge of untamed energy explodes as mana synchronization with Venomoth's dagger truly begins. His appearance radically transforms. His hair turns snow white as his consciousness is violently ripped to a different plane. He steps onto a luminous grid-like floor, entering the mysterious gap of unconsciousness. This is the ethereal space he must bypass to eat an artifact. He admits he's always on edge here, never knowing what bizarre dish will materialize. The system announces, preparations to absorb the dagger are complete. Before him, a tantalizing meal materializes from shimmering light. It's a perfectly cooked rotisserie BBQ chicken, glistening tantalizingly with olive oil and herbs. The young man sighs in profound relief. He's immensely glad it's a normal dish and not something utterly disgusting like a humid swamp centipede. With a hungry, predatory grin, he declares, "A dish like this I can eat any time," and takes a massive bite of the chicken leg. As he devours the meal, the absorption begins. He permanently acquires a vital new stat, agility +2. Then, a triumphant notification flashes. The hidden skill, Demon Bash, has been acquired. The dagger shatters into shimmering particles of light, now utterly absorbed and gone forever. Back in his room, Sang-Yun lets out a slow breath. It's a slight shame the weapon was destroyed, but he knows he wouldn't have used it much anyway. We cut to a bustling, chaotic street where a massive blue portal swirls with ominous energy, the entrance to dungeon number 85 under the jurisdiction of the infamous Team Yoon Daek-young. A man runs frantically towards team leader Yoon Daek-young, screaming his name. It's the Porter Group leader, his face contorted in distress. He reports that one of his team members, a newcomer named Shin Sang-hyun, has suddenly pulled out, but Daek-young's subordinate calmly dismisses him, saying not to worry. The Porter leader is utterly baffled, then outraged when he's told Sang-hyun has decided to join the main player team instead. Yoon Daek-young confirms it with an arrogant, condescending smirk. "Is there a problem?" he challenges. The Porter leader explodes, shouting it's unheard of for an untrained newbie to join the front lines. He argues it will utterly unbalance the team and severely disrupt their workflow, pleading desperately with the team leader to reconsider. Daek-young's expression darkens to pure menace. He grabs the smaller man by the collar, his voice a low, terrifying growl. "Porter, team, leader." He reminds the man that he is the one in absolute charge of everything, including the party and contribution system. The man stammers out a terrified, desperate apology. As the Porter leader scurries away, Daek-young's blonde subordinate scoffs. "Those Porter bastards!" The subordinate then asks why Daek-young accepted the newbie, admitting it was completely unexpected. Daek-young grins, a cold, malicious twist to his lips. He explains if someone's going to die, it'll be the newbie, not them. He needs to act up, get himself killed, and shut those porters up once and for all. After all, what can a pathetic level 1 idiot possibly do? Just then, a disturbingly cheerful voice cuts through the tension. "Hello." Shin Sang-yun arrives, introducing himself with a blindingly bright, confident smile, announcing, "I'll be working as a player from today on." The other porters and low-level players glare at him with undisguised contempt, jealousy, and utter disbelief. Yoon Daek-young and his subordinate exchange a loaded glance, their smirks dripping with malicious intent. Sang-yun feels their hostile gazes. He fully expected this kind of reception, but he's secretly amused they aren't even trying to hide their venomous expressions. Yoon Daek-young approaches, his face plastered with a fake, predatory smile. He greets the newbie, feigning surprise that Sang-yun wasn't late. But his eyes betray his true dark thoughts as they narrow, fixating on the weapon slung over Sang-hyun's back. He asks if it's a longsword. Sang-hyun replies with a ridiculously cheerful, almost naive grin, claiming, "I studied a lot of videos on YouTube." Daekyung places a hand on Sang-hyun's shoulder, feigning friendly, condescending advice. "A longsword is one of the hardest weapons to wield," he warns. The team leader bursts into a loud, mocking, utterly derisive laugh, grabbing Sang-hyun in a rough hug and declaring, "Men need to have spirit." With that, he rallies his troops, roaring, "It's time to start the dungeon raid! Let's go wild!" The team marches towards the glowing portal, the other players telling Sang-hyun, "Just stay on standby at the entrance." But as they walk away, Yoon Daekyung's friendly facade crumbles completely, replaced by a look of pure venomous disdain. He seethes. The kid actually thinks YouTube is a substitute for real training. He scoffs at Sang-hyun's naive arrogance, certain the newbie will soon learn his agonizing place. This orc dungeon is known as the Wailing Wall for a reason after all. The self-proclaimed knight leader grins, a cruel, twisted expression carving his face. This stupid idiot, he thinks, will know his place very, very soon. But the very next moment, that arrogant smirk is violently ripped from his face, replaced by pure, unadulterated, gut-wrenching shock. "Stupid idiot?" he stammers, utterly bewildered. He stands utterly frozen, his eyes wide with horrified disbelief at the scene of absolute carnage laid out before him and his team. The ground is littered with the grotesque corpses of massive orcs, all of them slain with brutal surgical efficiency. "This is insane," he whispers, his voice trembling. The bodies lie eerily still, their crude weapons shattered beside them, the entire first wave completely annihilated. Not a single beast remains standing. A deafening silence hangs heavy, broken only by the horrifying drip of blood. A faint wisp of smoke curls from one of the bodies, the only testament to the lightning-fast, brutal battle that just occurred. In the center of this bloodbath, one figure stands with his back to them, utterly untouched and perfectly chillingly calm. It's Shin Sang-hyun, a faint, almost invisible aura of power swirling around him as he calmly turns to face the next monstrous foe. Orcs, creatures all too familiar from games and stories, beasts against whom everyone harbors a deep prejudice. A prejudice rooted in the belief that they are fundamentally weak, of course compared to apex predators like dragons. They are certainly weak, predictably stupid, and mindlessly violent. This arrogance leads many new players to foolishly jump into a fight. Without a single thought, only to meet a swift, pathetic, and gruesome end. A warrior rushes forward, overconfident and tragically foolish, straight into the crushing grasp of a powerful orc. But as Sang-hyun charges forward, his eyes already reading their every move, he knows their traits are deceptively simple. He says coolly, almost playfully, "Here I go," and in the instant, an orc's monstrous fist swings for his head. Oh, he vanishes, a mere blur of motion that the beast's primitive eyes can't even track, already closing in for the killing blow. On average, these monstrous brutes stand tall and weigh a ton, a sheer physical advantage that breeds their fatal overconfidence. And it's that very arrogance that seals their doom against a foe who knows their every single weakness. Meanwhile, in another time, another place, a weary group of adventurers navigates a similar dangerous dungeon. A gruff warrior shoves himself into Sang-hyun's face, warning him that as a fresh newbie, he's utterly on his own in here. He mutters under his breath, seething about the kid's intolerable arrogance, acting like a top player the moment he awakened. But Sang-hyun just flashes an impossibly cheerful, almost disarmingly innocent smile, thinking no one is ever nice to rookies. The warrior explodes in raw anger, screaming, trying his best is a load of crap, he needs to actually do well. Sang-hyun's pleasant facade doesn't even waver, his eyes holding a terrifying calm that infuriates the man even further. So Sang-hyun asks a deceptively simple question. Can he truly fight on the front lines if they encounter a monster? The warrior is utterly stunned, speechless. "Are you out of your mind?" he sputters, but his enraged words are brutally cut short by a sudden gasp. Before them, a massive, muscle-bound orc bursts into view, its crimson eyes glowing with savage bloodlust in the oppressive dark. "I'll take care of him," Sang-hyun declares with unwavering confidence, moving to step forward, but the warrior violently shoves him back. The orc lets out a guttural, earth-shaking roar, a chilling promise of the violence to come. Raising his shield, the warrior braces for a brutal impact, the heavy metal ringing with a sickening clang as the beast's weapon connects. He screams at Sang-hyun, his face contorted in pure rage. Are you out of your damn mind? How can you use a greatsword when you're that slow? Sangyun calmly replies, I didn't need help. He tells the enraged man, stop talking and prove your skill instead. The warrior growls, you little bastard, you should be grateful. But his eyes suddenly widen in pure terror. An orc's colossal axe cleaves through the air, aimed directly for his head. But before it lands, a different figure intercepts the deadly blow. Another warrior with a powerful shield bash sends the monstrous brute stumbling back, saving his teammate from certain bloody death. The team leader, Yoon Dae-kyung, roars, are you on a picnic? Get it together. He then confidently steps forward, commanding everyone to stay back as he takes on the towering green beast himself. His blade flashes like lightning, deflecting the orc's savage attacks with a dazzling series of sparks, ostentatiously showing off his superior skill. The self-proclaimed knight leader pushes forward, his movements precise and deadly as he exploits an opening in the monster's defense. The rest of the team watches in stunned awe, cheering him on as their leader heroically pierces the orc's heart. But the monster isn't finished, not by a long shot. Its eyes glow with a renewed, bloodthirsty light as it lets out a low, menacing growl. With a demonic roar, the orc raises its colossal axe high, utterly ignoring the sword buried in its chest to deliver a final, desperate, crushing blow. Dae-kyung sidesteps the attack with practiced, smug ease, the axe shattering the stone floor where he just stood, a hair's breadth from his head. Sangyun watches from the sidelines, his face utterly unreadable, meticulously analyzing every single move. He notes, Yoon Dae-kyung is supposedly the highest level here, yet even at level 50, he struggles to land a critical hit. You bastard! Dae-kyung screams, pouring all his strength into another furious, desperate strike against the relentlessly resilient monster. With one final desperate push, he drives his sword deeper, a geyser of foul green blood erupting from the wound. The team erupts in ecstatic cheers as the orc finally falls, shouting, he killed it all on his own! Dae-kyung tries to play it cool, a strained, sweaty smile plastered on his face as he laughs it off. It was nothing. His team showers him with effusive praise, calling him dependable, amazing, their fearless leader for his monumental display of strength. He's about to rally them to press deeper when a new, bone-chilling sound echoes from deeper within the dungeon. A massive, ravenous horde of orcs charges down the corridor, not just common ones, but monstrous red-skinned berserkers. These are high orcs, a completely different, terrifying level of threat, their muscles bulging with raw, untamed power. Each one wields a wickedly sharp, brutal-looking axe, ready to tear the entire party to bloody shreds. The players are utterly terrified, their faces ashen as they spot armored orcs among the horde. They scream for their leader. What do we do? Dae-kyung's bravado evaporates instantly, replaced by sheer panic. He stammers, we should fall back. He thinks, I can barely handle one, let alone this entire army. But just as utter panic grips the team, a terrifyingly calm voice slices through the noise. Could I give it a try? It's Shin Sang-hyun. The entire team whirls to stare at him, their faces a grotesque mixture of confusion, outrage, and disbelief. What did he just say? One stammers. Dae-kyung grabs Sang-hyun, ready to unleash a torrent of reprimands for his suicidal foolishness, but the rookie effortlessly pushes past him. Hey, you're gonna get yourself killed, a player yells, but Sang-hyun is already a blinding blur of motion. He leaps into the brutal fray, his great sword held high, a solitary, defiant figure against an overwhelming, monstrous tide. In a single, unbelievable, impossibly fast moment, his blade descends with earth-shattering force, cleaving straight through a high orc. The impact is so powerful it utterly shatters the stone beneath, the monster split clean in two from head to toe. Sang-hyun lands gracefully, almost casually amidst the fresh carnage, as the two halves of the orc fall to the ground behind him with a sickening thud. The party is rendered completely silent, jaws hanging agape. What the hell was that? One stammers, pure terror in his voice. The other orcs are momentarily stunned into silence, but their colossal leader, a massive brute named Mokto Rinkar, lets out a furious, blood-curdling roar. Enraged by the brutal death of their kin, the entire horde of high orcs charges forward as one, a terrifying green wave. But Sang-hyun remains utterly unfazed, meeting their monstrous charge head-on, his sword a blur, a whirlwind of pure surgical destruction. He thinks to himself, I may be low level, but he possesses more than enough experience under his belt. He effortlessly catches an orc's massive wrist, stopping its attack cold. His blade flashes in a blinding, deadly arc, slicing through the thick muscle and bone of another charging beast. He's not just fighting, he's dancing, a true master swordsman weaving a crimson tapestry of death through the terrified horde. An orc's head flies from its shoulders, another is bisected at the waist. It's an absolute utter massacre. He spins and pivots, using the orc's own momentum against them, his great sword carving them down like wheat. With an icy, focused gaze, he raises his blade, a chilling question forming in his mind. A question directed at the terrified monsters before him. Do you know how many of you guys I killed when I was younger? He asks, bisecting another orc with a brutal upward slash. The rest of the team can only watch, paralyzed with awe and fear. Is that really Shin Sang-hyun? One of them whispers, truly believing he might slaughter them all. Sang-hyun points his blood-soaked blade at the last remaining high orc, calmly stating, "You're the last one." Now, only the true monster remains, the armored orc, a hulking beast cloaked in thick plates of metal. Sang-hyun rushes forward, his sword glowing with a faint energy as he unleashes a powerful downward slash. The blade connects with the armor, sending a shower of sparks into the air, but it fails to penetrate. The force of the blow leaves only a shallow gash in the metal, the attack completely ineffective. From the back, Yoon Dae-kyung shouts in a panic, "Its skin is too thick, the attack didn't work." The armored orc raises its colossal mace, ready to pulverize the young player who dared to challenge it. Yet Sang-hyun isn't worried. He dodges the attack with impossible speed, the mace smashing into the ground. He slides to a stop a few feet away, a confident, almost mocking smirk etched on his face. "Don't be so dramatic," he says, his eyes glowing with an eerie blue light. He then activates a hidden skill, a surge of violet energy enveloping his hand, Demon Bash. The skill instantly takes effect. The armored orc freezes mid-swing, completely paralyzed and helpless. "That's right," Sang-hyun whispers with a chilling smile. "You stay still just like that." The monster can only let out a choked roar of frustration as its body remains utterly unresponsive. With his enemy immobilized, Sang-hyun unleashes his final attack, a devastating strike that shatters both armor and the flesh beneath. Dae-kyung can only stare, dumbfounded. What the hell did I just witness? He asks himself. He surveys the field of butchered orcs, then looks back at the newbie who awakened just 3 days ago. Sang-hyun stands alone, the sole victor in a battle that should have wiped out their entire party. The others are just as stunned, wondering if they should ask him which YouTube videos he watched. But Dae-kyung is fixated on the skill, a hindrance skill against an armored orc. How is that possible? He confronts Sang-hyun, who just casually asks if that's all of them, utterly ignoring the team leader's burning question. A system window appears before Sang-hyun, rewarding him with a new title, Fearless Immature Puppy. He thinks the title is a bit much, but the +5 to evasion is a welcome bonus. Suddenly, another notification pops up. Player's luck has increased. A small, unexpected perk. When Dae-kyung demands to know where he got the skill, Sang-hyun just offers a lame excuse. "I just got it when I awakened," he says with a nervous laugh, knowing he can't possibly reveal the truth about his regression. Dae-kyung doesn't buy it for a second. He grabs the greatsword, accusing him of being insanely lucky. What? Sang-hyun stammers. "It really is just a regular greatsword." The leader shoves the sword back at him, demanding to know if that insane skill was truly his own. Dae-kyung's face contorts with pure, unadulterated jealousy. He's been grinding for 2 years and is level 50. But even he doesn't possess a skill anywhere near as powerful as what this rookie just displayed. Just then, a shout from behind them shatters the tension. "Team leader, the middle boss is up ahead." Dae-kyung's expression darkens. Yeah, let's get going," he says, his voice laced with resentment. He turns to Sang-hyun, giving him a backhanded compliment. "Taking care of the minions was easy thanks to you, but don't overstep too much." He warns the rookie that his fancy skill won't do anything against the demon orc they're about to face. But Sang-hyun just smiles, a dangerous glint in his eye. He almost forgot. In his past life, after his team failed to defeat this very demon orc, they were lucky enough to witness another team acquire its artifact reward, the Crimson Stone. He remembers watching them, battered and bruised but victorious, wondering how they had managed it. He overheard them celebrating, talking about how much money the rare artifact would fetch at the market. And that's when he learned about its power. It was one of the only artifacts that granted the skill. What? That was the name of the skill he heard. It's the one skill he desperately needs for the future he's trying to build. So he asks Daekyung, team leader? His nonchalant tone catches everyone off guard. Ha, are you scared then? The leader sneers, assuming the rookie has finally lost his nerve. If I kill that demon orc on my own, Sang-hyun says, his voice steady, can I take the artifact? The party erupts. Are you crazy? Who the hell do you think you are? They shout, furious at his audacity. They cannot believe he dared talk about item distribution after killing just a few orcs. Yet Yoon Daekyung silences them. After a long, tense pause, he turns his back and says, do as you please. His teammates are shocked, but he clarifies his condition. Sang-hyun gets his chance only if they fail to defeat the boss. Only then can he enter the dungeon alone and attempt to kill it himself, a condition designed for him to fail. With a condescending look, Daekyung points at him. Got it? He asks, certain he's put the rookie in his place. That's easier than I thought, Sang-hyun replies with a smile. I guess I'll be stepping out of this battle. Yeah, do as you please, Daekyung scoffs, turning and leading his team toward the boss room. He fumes internally about the cocky bastard, vowing to clear this dungeon and shut him up for good. He's going to show him that experience is what truly matters on the battlefield. As Daekyung pushes open the massive doors to the boss chamber, he stops dead in his tracks. A system notification appears. You have entered the room of the middle boss. The chamber is vast and lit by eerie torches, casting long, menacing shadows across the stone floor. And in the center of the room, a hulking silhouette awaits them, the bloodthirsty demon orc. Everyone prepare for battle, Daekyung commands, trying to sound confident. He tells them the intel he received says it's easy to defeat if they just circle around and attack from the rear. But he smirks to himself. Sorry, Shin Sang-hyun, he thinks, but you won't even get the chance to try. I'll take the lead, he roars, and the entire party charges forward right into the jaws of death. The next thing he knows, he's on the ground, his body broken and bleeding, his head ringing. Huh? He struggles to sit up, his armor dented and cracked, and asks what happened. Sang-hyun stands in the background, unimpressed. Tsk, Sang-hyun mutters. He was worried when they started running, but he shouldn't have been. This is exactly why they failed back then, too. The rest of the team is scattered, defeated in a single blow. They cry out to their leader, terrified, screaming that they're all going to die. The demon orc flexes, its fanged maw twisted in a cruel grin, the crimson stone on its chest pulsing with dark energy. Daekyung realizes his intel was garbage. All right, retreat for now, he yells, his voice filled with panic. But as the team scrambles to their feet, they see Sang-hyun standing there with a bright, unsettlingly cheerful smile. You? Daekyung stammers. What the hell is wrong with you? He orders everyone to retreat, planning to use the boss's poor peripheral vision to escape. But as he turns to run, he delivers one last bitter warning to Sang-hyun. I've warned you, don't hate me even if you die. Sang-hyun's eye narrows, a smirk playing on his lips. Don't worry about me, he says, his voice echoing in the chamber as he grips the hilt of his great sword. I won't be dying today. He draws the massive blade, its steel humming with anticipation, his eyes glowing with an intense blue light. The demon orc lets out a ferocious roar and charges, its axe ready to cleave him in two. Sang-hyun knows, purely comparing stats, he would never win, yet with everything he's prepared, this battle is already his. Stats alone would mean certain death. But with a lifetime of experience on his side, this battle is already over. The blade crashes down, and Sang-hyun meets it with his own, a brilliant flash of steel as he deflects the monstrous blow. The impact sends a shockwave through the chamber, a sound of thunder that makes the stone itself tremble. The demon orc lets out a grunt of pure frustration, its attack completely nullified. Did I hear a clank? Yoon Daekyung asks in disbelief. He managed to deflect his axe? The idea is unthinkable. Ouch, my hand stings, Sang-hyun says with a casual smirk. I guess deflecting is all I can manage for now. The monster snarls, the crimson stone embedded in its chest pulsing with a sinister red light. Sang-hyun's eyes narrow on it. It's been a while. Crimson stone. He knows its secret. His plan is simple. Use his demon bash for a 2-second stun, but that's not enough. He needs more time. If he can just get his hands on the skill, this becomes more than possible. What's wrong? He taunts. Come at me. The orc growls, enraged by the human's insolence, its primal fury building. It swings again, a wild, cleaving strike meant to crush him, but Sang-hyun is already moving. Perfect, he thinks, a predatory grin spreading across his face. That's what I like to see. The monster's wild swing leaves it wide open. As the axe whistles past, Sang-hyun's blade flashes. He slips past the attack with impossible grace, his movements a blur of calculated precision. That way, I can find your weak spots, he declares, his eyes locking onto the monster's exposed flank. He brings his sword down hard, not on flesh, but on the orc's axe handle, shattering it on impact. And at that exact moment, a system window pops up. Demon Bash Level 1 has been activated. The demon orc will be stunned for 2 seconds. That skill, you're telling me it works on middle bosses? Daekyung shouts, his face a mask of pure shock. That's broken. I knew orcs were simple, Sang-hyun mutters, but you're supposed to be a demon orc. A flash of purple energy erupts from his body as he prepares the finishing blow. He drives his greatsword forward, aiming to end this in one clean strike, but something is wrong. The orc suddenly moves, its self-regeneration ability kicking in, shaking off the stun effects early. I forgot about that, Sang-hyun grunts, forced to brace against the monster's recovery. A green aura surrounds the beast as the system announces the stun has been lifted. And now, to stun it again, he needs to wait 15 long seconds. This is exactly why he needs... But he doesn't have it yet. If I can't stun him, he decides, I just need to defeat him. That seems simple enough, he shouts, parrying another devastating blow from the now recovered orc. Leader, we really need to go now, the blonde warrior pleads, his voice trembling with fear. Daekyung can only stare, dumbfounded. Even that bastard skill isn't working. Why? The stun doesn't work, and there's a massive gap in their stats. So how? How are you able to make that kind of face? Daekyung thinks, watching Sang-hyun's completely unbothered expression. Sang-hyun just smiles. Why don't we end things here? I've experienced situations like this in the past. He plants his feet, digging into the stone floor. If I'm too weak, I just need to focus everything on one point. His eyes narrow with lethal intent. Forget about cutting the enemy. Instead, use their strength to your advantage. As the orc swings its axe for the final time, Sang-hyun meets the charge head on. To pierce through! With a brilliant flash of blue light, he redirects the force of the blow. The monster's own weapon shatters into pieces against Sang-hyun's impossibly sharp blade. Congratulations, you have defeated the middle boss, Demon Orc. The system declares his victory. His great sword is buried deep within the crimson stone, purple blood spraying as the life fades from the beast's eyes. He's also obtained the E-rank title, Demon Hunter. A wave of power washes over him as he levels up twice. 2 titles already, he muses, looking at his status window. I guess that's the benefit of being a solo player? He turns to find Daekyung and the rest of the party staring at him, their faces frozen in a mixture of terror and disbelief. Sang-hyun lets out an awkward laugh. To avoid annoying situations like this, there's only one thing to do. He dramatically plants his sword in the ground, panting. I almost died. What would I have done if our leader hadn't dealt damage? Daekyung is utterly bewildered. When did I manage to deal damage to that thing? He stares at Sang-hyun, his mind racing. What are you? He whispers, the question hanging in the air. Sang-hyun just stands there, leaning on his sword, playing the part of the exhausted rookie. He meets Daekyung's gaze with a sharp, knowing look. You're not that stupid, are you? I shall give you the chance to preserve your honor. A small, glowing red orb, the crimson stone, floats out from the orc's corpse towards the party. Just keep your promise. Is that what he's saying? Daekyung thinks, sweat beading on his forehead. It's my complete defeat. He quickly regains his composure. Everyone, pay attention. Now that we've defeated the middle boss, we need to get ready for the final boss. The other party members, still shaken, whisper among themselves. There's no way he defeated that thing on his own. They wish they had that stun skill. Now then, Sang-hyun says with a sly grin, his act dropped the moment they turned their backs. The audience is gone. He turns his attention to the floating crimson stone. Why don't I try eating you up? The stone is identified as a silver tier artifact and accessory, but Sang-hyun has other plans for it. His unique skill activates, transforming the artifact into something else entirely, a master chef's bibim naengmyeon with meat jelly. Are things going my way? He thinks, his hair turning white as he's overcome with a strange power. I can't resist a classic like this. A system message appears, confirming he is now ready to absorb the Crimson Stone's power. He takes a bite of the magical noodles and meat, savoring the taste of his victory. And just like that, a new power awakens within him. He has gained the special effect. He immediately binds the new effect to his Demon Bash skill, a thought he'd only considered theoretically. The system confirms the effect has been added. Now, if he uses Demon Bash before a stunned state is over, he can guarantee an extension. A guaranteed 4-second stun. I only guessed it'd be possible. He thinks, a wicked smile on his face. But it can actually work. Just then, Daekyung approaches from behind. Can we talk? He asks. Sang-hyun casually replies, Yep, what is it? Daekyung explains that the final boss room is right in front of them, the lair of the Orc Berserker. You want me to join in later? Sang-hyun asks. No. The leader says firmly, I'd be a failure of a leader if I didn't utilize a member like you. He extends a hand. Let's work together, Shin Sang-hyun. It's a complete 180 from his earlier attitude. Sang-hyun smirks and accepts the handshake. Haha, but just know my conditions are still the same, he reminds him. Yeah, alright. Daekyung concedes. As they prepare to enter the final room, the blonde warrior gives Sang-hyun a look of pure hatred from the sidelines. Now everyone, keep your guards up, he barks, trying to regain some authority. Sang-hyun just stares ahead, unimpressed. It's the final stretch, Daekyung yells, trying to pump up morale. He just glared at me, right? Sang-hyun thinks, catching the blonde's hostile gaze. They enter dungeon number 85's final boss room. A hulking, shadowy figure awaits them in the center of the arena. A blood-curdling screech echoes through the chamber as the beast reveals itself. It's the final boss, the Orc Berserker, a creature of pure, unbridled rage. Its red eyes glow in the darkness as it rises to its full, terrifying height. Sang-hyun, I'll go in first, Daekyung says, still trying to act like a leader. Just stick with me, he adds, but Sang-hyun is already walking past him, heading straight for the beast. Sang-hyun, this time you really shouldn't, his teammate warns, but he pays him no mind. He calmly analyzes his opponent. Orc Berserkers actually have lower skill resistance than Demon Orcs. This means it should be even easier to stun. If I attack calmly, I shouldn't have any problems. The Berserker lets out a guttural roar and charges, its massive spiked club raised high. The ground cracks under its powerful stride as it barrels towards the lone swordsman. Sang-hyun thinks back. Stick with me? When I was young, I was just scared all the time. He remembers being a terrified porter, cowering in fear, always at the mercy of others. And after he grew old, he just struggled to stay alive, begging for a spot in parties, always told his level was too low. Yeah, I need to change, he thinks, effortlessly sidestepping the Berserker's initial attack. Change my weak past and my future. He pivots, ready to counter the raging beast. To do that, he says, his eyes glowing with an intense blue light, I need to show improve to everyone here. He glances back at the stunned party watching him. Daekyung can only stare, a single thought echoing in his mind. What a monster! The Orc Berserker swings again, but Sang-hyun is faster, dashing in close, his sword held ready. With a powerful thrust, he slams the flat of his blade into the Berserker's chest. He'll be stunned for 4 seconds, he shouts. The Demon Bash skill activates instantly. Go in and nuke him, he commands, and this time, the party follows without hesitation, charging forward like a tidal wave. The Berserker, locked in place, can only let out a choked gurgle of rage. A flurry of attacks rains down upon the helpless boss, swords, axes, and magic slamming into its body from all sides. The system message flashes, Congratulations, you have cleared the dungeon, Altar of the Crimson Orc. The party stands amidst the carnage, victorious. Wasn't this dungeon really easy? One of them says. Yeah. See how stun made things easy? Another replies, giving all the credit to Sang-hyun. Nearby, a group of porters are already plotting. Do you think he has a personal porter yet? I was planning to ask him first. Sang-hyun just smirks. See how fast they turn. I'm not even thinking of doing anything for them. A golden light envelops him as he levels up again, earning a new title with overwhelming power. A real harvest of titles, he says, examining the reward. A 4.4 second stun. That's broken. He never got a single title in his previous life. Still, he thinks, his mind drifting to a mysterious, powerful figure from his past. This is nothing compared to that man. Before I regressed, he was just someone I looked up to, but now a new fire burns within him. There's no saying I won't be able to catch up. I might have a chance if I step on the gas from now on. Just then, Daekyung walks over. What are you doing? Sang-hyun, caught stretching, replies, stretching. Anyways, great work. Take this, Daekyung says, tossing him a gold coin, which transforms into a glowing ring. Sang-hyun is completely floored. What's gotten into you? He asks. Daekyung admits, you really carried this time. I have a sense of morality. Anyways, it's just a bronze rank, so I can afford to act generous. Sang-hyun deadpans. Aren't you a little too honest? Daekyung laughs it off. He admits he wouldn't have given it to him if it was expensive, and that they won't be seeing each other again anyway. It hurts. But even I've got to admit it, Daekyung thinks, looking at the rookie. You're already living in a different world from us. Watching this from afar, the blonde warrior's face twists with pure, unadulterated jealousy. Daekyung gives that guy more attention just because he showed off his skills a couple of times? This is outrageously unfair. He seethes, consumed by envy. His rage erupts. Motherfuckers, go die together, he snarls, already pulling out his phone to make a call. Hello, sir, it's me. Meanwhile, far from that venomous plot, Shin Sang-hyun basks in the glow of his newfound success back in his apartment, a triumphant smile spreading across his face. This is why I'm a player. He checks his bank account and his eyes widen. Daekyung deposited a staggering $6 million, more than double what the other porters received. But the good news doesn't stop there. On top of the cash, there's a bonus item, the legendary Berserker Ring. This isn't just any trinket, it's a bronze tier artifact granting a colossal plus 10 strength boost, an absolute godsend for any low level player. A wry smile plays on his lips as he examines the ring. To think I'd get an artifact with backtick for free, he muses. Yet, like all powerful artifacts, there's a hidden cost. This ring constantly drains mana every single second. For most players, their mana would vanish into thin air before they could even land a single swing. Most players, that is, he clarifies, a knowing grin spreading across his face, a spark of cunning dancing in his eyes. His unique ability, only discovered after 50 grueling years, is precisely why he devoted himself to mastering it. He vividly recalls his past self, in another life, devouring a mana-hungry artifact just like this one. The results? Absolutely shocking. When he absorbs mana-requiring artifacts, their cost vanishes entirely, though their effects do take a slight penalty. A brilliant pulsating blue energy erupts around him as he prepares to consume and absorb the ring's raw power. Who cares if there's a penalty? He declares with a fierce glint in his eyes, ambition blazing. The more skills, the better. Suddenly, the scene shifts drastically. In a lavish private club tucked away in Seoul's exclusive Gangnam district, the night is just beginning to heat up. Inside, a blonde warrior, seething with jealousy, shouts over the music, trying desperately to impress a woman. I'm not lying, that bastard really pulled off a 4-second stun. A deep, menacing voice slices through the noise, cutting him short. Are you raising your voice? The warrior instantly cowers, stammering, sorry. A massive, brutish man glares down at him, his presence suffocating. So what? You want me to get revenge for your pathetic loss? The warrior stammers, his words tripping over each other, explaining that Sang-hyun is loaded with cash and clearly has Daekyung's favor. So what the hell do you want me to do about it? The brutish man barks, his patience clearly wearing thin. Another man, his face a canvas of jagged scars, watches the exchange with chilling intensity. Beside him, a woman sneers venomously. You aren't very close to him, are you? He looks like such a loser. In a blinding flash, a blade sings through the air. A sickening wet sound echoes, and warm blood splashes across the blonde warrior's face. The scarred man's voice remains chillingly calm, a stark contrast to the sudden violence. The hell do you think we are? He asks, his gaze like ice. The warrior collapses to the floor, gasping, clutching his head as a gleaming katana now rests menacingly on his shoulder. His ear has been sliced clean off. Kakia! The warrior screams in agony. The scarred man sneers down, his voice dripping with contempt. Do you think we're your personal servants to run errands? He then cruelly pours a drink onto the man's fresh, bleeding wound, eliciting another agonizing scream. "Then you'd better pay the price," he declares, his words chilling. Leaning in close, his face twisted into a mask of cruel amusement, the scarred man whispers, "I'll listen as much as your ear is worth." He then casually picks up the severed ear, holding it up to the light. A single drop of liquor, mixed with blood, drips from the tip like a horrifying golden tear.